how do we get from seeing the world the way we are as opposed to the way it is? Because that's what we want, right? We want companies, we want organizations, we want individual wholeness around being connected with reality. We want our reality to be as close to reality as possible. And that's really what we're going to be discussing today. So as we're going through this, we'll bring this up again a couple different times, and I hope that we can continue to explore that gray area. So the other interesting thing that came up for me is what informs your reality? So what informs this, the way you see the world, the way we are? What informs that for you? You guys can yell stuff out.
Your identities.
Your identities.
Interactions.
Excuse me?
Interactions.
Interactions with people, family ties, your background. All these things are impacting you every day. And so my question is, who and what informs your reality? Who's at your table? Who's there with you as you're creating your reality? I mean, who's at your Thanksgiving table next week? I mean, who's at your executive senior staff meetings? I mean, who's in your communities when you have community meetings? Who do you see when you walk down the street? And then, of course, there's the flip side of that, which is who's not at your table. And that's really what we're talking about here. How can we do two things? How can we really engage with people at our table? The people who know us best. How can we have those real conversations? How can we push our companies to be more inclusive? And how can we ask ourselves who's missing at our table, and how can we reach out to expand that? And I'm also talking about the table of who's here having or not having lunch right now. So just keeping that in mind, and with that, I wanted to start out by sharing a little bit about who. Oops, this is upside down. Who's at my table? This is my daughter, Amaya Joan. She is just 2 years old, and my friend Charmaine's here. She was actually at her christening. This was about a week ago. And this drives, someone said family connection, this drives a lot of my desire for why I want to work towards inclusive workforces and environments and society. Like you, there are probably other people, if you put who's at your table, that would be there for you. The questions that I ask myself around this work with reference to my daughter and my family, blood and chosen, that you can see around her is, you know, as a biracial child, will my child be granted the same level of opportunity I had growing up as a white youth? Will my daughter feel welcome at school when she tells her friends that she has one mom at home, and maybe one day she'll have two moms? Will she be granted equal pay for equal work? Will she learn alongside other Black, brown, and white kids, immigrants, queer youth, youth with disabilities? And these are questions that drive me. What are the questions that drive you? And as we're going through, think about who's at your table and who you'd like to invite to your table, individually and organizationally. So before we get started, just in a true Lesbians Who Tech or Tech Up light, if you can turn to somebody next to you and just say hello, and just ask them, can I sit with you at your table? Just turn and say your name.
Hello.
Can I sit with you at your table?
Can I sit with you at your table?
Welcome back to the table.
All right. Can the folks in the back hear me okay? Yeah, great. So this is what we're going to talk about for the next 45 minutes. Navigating bias in work and self. They're not disconnected, but we are going to be talking about both and as they relate to one another. What is it? How does it show up? Where does it come from? And what can we do? what is it? What are your associations with bias? And again, if you could yell them out and yell them out loud so folks can hear. What are they? Wrong. Your initial ones, not after you think about it for 10 minutes.
I think she said Trump.
Did she say wrong?
She said Trump.
She said Trump. Okay, what else?
Race.
Race. Stereotyping. Gender. Body shape, size.
Ability versus disability.
Ability versus disability. All these things, we could go on for days, we could spend the whole time. Is it fair to say that often our association with bias is that it's negative? Often. And we should therefore do what with it? We should get rid of it. What I want to talk about today is not getting rid of it. We'll talk about why we can't necessarily get rid of it, but what can we do? We can recognize it and change our behavior around how we react to it. If it's unconscious, we can't change our behavior because we don't know what's happening. Right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to do a quick activity, and I'm going to put up, I think it's 5 or 6 different images for like 8 seconds each. What I want you to do is, as you look at each slide, they're people. Note the feelings, judgments, and reactions that emerge for you. In other words, what story are you telling yourself about this person? 10 seconds. 2 indicators I want you to consider. How warm do they make you feel, and how competent do you think you are? This is based off of some research by Amy Cuddy out of Harvard University, and these are 2 traits that her research shows that people initially will judge people based on these 2 qualities: how warm we think they are, or they make us feel, and how competent we think they are. So let's try that out and see what you all get.